Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live in a world where every piece of information you came across was undeniably true? Well, in today's digital age, where data floods our screens and stories change before our very eyes, discerning fact from fiction has become more challenging and crucial than ever. Welcome to our transformative journey, the quest for meaning in a post truth era, where we dive deep into the heart of seeking authenticity and truth amidst a sea of misinformation and confusion. As we navigate through this exploration, we invite you to join us on a profound quest to uncover the essence of truth in modern society, understand the impact of misinformation on our personal and societal values, and learn how to forge genuine connections in a time where skepticism overshadows truth. Together, we will discover strategies for discerning truth, cultivating a life of purpose, and sparking a movement towards enlightenment and understanding in our communities and beyond. This isn't just another conversation, it's a call to action for every individual yearning for clarity and depth in an era of uncertainty. It's about finding the light in darkness, the facts among fiction, and connecting on a level that transcends the superficial. Are you ready to challenge the norms, question the status quo, and embark on a viral journey towards reclaiming the truth and purpose in our lives? Stay with us as we illuminate the path to finding meaning in a post truth world. Be sure to click subscribe, select all on the notification button, and let's embark on the journey together, sharing insights, stories, and strategies that will not only change the way that you view the world, but also how you influence it. Your quest for truth starts here. Now, gentlemen, I want to start it off because Uncle Junior, you kind of got us started on that path, right? So I want each one of you to kind of give us a a notion of the truth, right? That kind of gets under your skin. Like, what are some of the things that you hear that kind of that's not fact or fiction? You just kind of made that up and you just want me to go along with it. So I want you to kind of just throw it out there. I'm curious. You want Chris to go first? Look at his mouth.
He already unmuted. Let him rock.
Let's do it.
Hey, he ready, boy.
He ready.
He in there rocking. He warmed
right
up,
now.
stretched out.
And I'm ready to soak it up too.
Y'all want to know what's funny?
Yep.
I have nothing. I have nothing.
Wow.
You said a truth that bothers me, but it's true.
No,
Is that what you're asking?
It's questionable. A truth that's questionable.
A truth that's questionable.
Yeah, like Garfield said earlier, like your truth. That's one. Like when you hear people say your truth, in essence, my perspective of people when they say your truth is just that they don't want you to question their version of the story, which in turn, in my opinion, means their lie. But that's just my version of
it. I don't know.
Okay.
I truly don't.
Let these brothers cook. I'm sure you're going to have something once they get started.
Okay, that'll work.
How much trouble are we allowed to get in for this podcast? And my camera, see, that's the devil right there with my camera.
See, there you go.
He didn't blame the devil for the camera. Maybe it was the Lord telling you that you need to know playing.
Because it's so many, but there's some that just jump straight to the front of my mind, and I gotta go. Let's think about that a little bit before you just. Man. So hey, let's just say what I chest, right? One that gets under my nerve is that there's as many genders as you feel. Let's go there.
Okay.
Nope.
He's just gonna say that and then mute.
I mean, is there too much more to say?
I get it.
Like,
I'll just keep mine simple too. It's when people say, that's my truth. That's when it don't get under my skin, but I'm just like, man, like, are you for real? Like, do you really mean that? Like, it's your truth? And I understand it to a certain extent, and to a certain extent, they may even be somewhat correct. But at the same time, my truth doesn't necessarily apply to all things, and you can't use that as an excuse for bad behavior. Because a lot of times when it comes up, it's usually in that type of context. Somebody doing something they're not supposed to do, or either they are looking for they're trying to make wrong right in a lot of cases, I think. It's like, oh, this is my truth, because they don't want to accept some sort of responsibility or accountability for whatever may be going on. So I'm going to stick with or start with just when people say it's my truth.
I like it. I like it. You're muted, old man.
Yeah, and I was thinking because I just had one, and I was thinking about what President Biden said a couple of years ago when he was running. He said something that he made like it was just a matter of fact conversation, and he said, "Well, if you don't vote for me, you're not black." And it was insinuating that black people should and are all of the Democratic thought or Democratic Party.
But is he lying though?
Yes.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
Yeah, I feel both of y'all on this one, because in the sense of making a statement, if you don't vote for me, you're not black, is not true, right? Because you're insinuating that all black people are Democrats, right? But also on the flip side, I feel where you're going, Coach, because most black people, especially if we're uninformed, we blindly vote Democrat, and we don't allow nothing else to shake us. So I kind of feel you.
Very well.
Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
what I meant. What he said.
The
Like
whole
we're going to vote. Most people are going to vote Democrat regardless of research, getting any information or anything. So
I do not want to go down that rabbit hole.
We are not going down that rabbit hole.
Thank you.
yeah, because I own a red shirt.
If you don't stop,
And I got a flag on my hat.
I absolutely love it here. I think thinking that you can possess all of the truth is arrogant in itself. I do not believe that there is a thing as your truth. There is the truth and the story you want to tell yourself in the movie you got playing in your head that only stars you, but you play all the characters and you direct all the you play all the roles. Or am I overstepping here?
No. Don't pay my face. My face is based upon Lisa's comment in the chat. It ain't got nothing to do with you. Yeah, I'm just saying.
That's my whole take on it. I don't understand the whole your truth, my truth. There is the truth, and there's the thing in your head that you want to believe. And don't think that just because you believe it, I have to. Shut up.
I got you.
All right, I'm done for the evening.
I would say mine is when you hear people use the notion as I did everything I was supposed to do, in conjunction with, I'm agreeing with Garfield because that's my number one pet peeve there. But when people say I did everything I was supposed to do, that is automatically wrong because no one has ever done everything that they were supposed to do. I don't care who you are. So just a few of those things out there. And by all means, if you guys want to add yours in the chat, I'm agreeing with Lisa. Sugar don't go on grits, and that's it. Final, no discussion. All right. So
no, she's saying that that's the truth that needs to be debunked. I'm sorry, but keep going.
She said sugar doesn't go on grits. If you don't understand Southern delicacies, then go on back where you came from. Anyway,
Can I make a confession tonight?
Absolutely, it depends. Go ahead.
I have never in my life had grits.
Okay,
Bruh.
so we can accept that.
You're not missing nothing.
Facts. All right, listen, let's go on and get this party started. I'm with you, Nick D. I agree. If you want cream of wheat, eat cream of wheat. Stop messing up grits. Okay. First and foremost, I want to make sure I acknowledge this because I believe this to be a fact across this board. Again, we call it empowering perspective for a reason because we empower everybody's perspective. Therefore, that means here we believe that everyone is a subject matter expert of their own perspective, their own opinion. And if we get to the point to where we can hear other people's opinion, then we can get closer to what I call the truth. I'm agreeing with Chris, I think it was you, to where nobody has absolute truth. And I've been saying that for a long time. No one is absolutely right or absolutely wrong. I think within the lines of every wrong statement, there is some version of fact in there. And I also believe that when in the line of, in most cases, in the line of some of the things that are said that is factual, there is some version of that can be proven that's not factual in there as well. So no absolutism in anybody. Therefore, here we value everybody's opinion. Therefore, if you're here, by all means, give your opinion, share your thoughts. We value them all. Trust me, we'll bring them to the stage and we'll talk about them as well because we greatly appreciate them. We greatly appreciate you. Listen, we care about you. That's really what this is all about. And that's why these gentlemen volunteered their time to come here and serve you every Friday. First and foremost, we're going to start off with the key point of the nature of truth in modern society. So, gentlemen, that being said, in your opinion, how has the perception of the truth been altered? How has the perception of the truth been altered?
Oh, this one is easy. It's been shamed, demonized, and attacked by emotions. So this way, the only way they've created an avenue to navigate around truth that would never allow you to lead back to it. Because when you only thing you deal with is the feelings aspect or the emotion aspect of it and how it may affect me, it it creates conversational directions that will never lead us back to the core truth that is being discussed. And that's in almost every realm of reality.
Well, with me being on my journey and being on the outside looking in, I guess I could say the perception of truth has been altered simply because the truth is 9 times out of 10 based on one of two things: science or nature. And there are a lot of people out here fighting a nature. Like, seriously, there are a lot of people out here fighting their nature as a being. And that's when emotions get involved. So the science or the nature of it gets thrown out of the window because I got to care about how you feel about the science or the nature that I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
So I don't know if I'm off by this, but I'm actually looking at a thing, right? When I look at this question, in my opinion, how has perception of the truth been altered? I'm going to say, don't get mad at me, chat. And there's a lot of females in there. However, comma, makeup and filters. Um, is that too far off if I go down this road, coach? Okay, all
That's
right.
your perspective.
That's just my perspective. So I think that, when we look at, I'm speaking about social media, but it don't have to be social media. You know what I mean? I think when there's an excessive amount of makeup that is worn, I think it kind of detracts from the perception of what's actually the truth. I think that when people only post pictures of themselves with filters on, I think at the same time you are again altering the truth. And I think that, it's fine depending on, what your desired outcome is. But I think that um in my opinion, a lot of times people, when they see these things, and I will say this because, like, you take a child, is I work with kids, right? So I work in elementary school, and I see fifth grade girls all the time, and they have this perception of what reality is because they see on social media the superstars with a lot of makeup, and how they're presenting themselves. And then they see all these filters and stuff like this, and then when they're comparing themselves to their fifth grade version of womanhood, it doesn't look like that, and I think that sometimes some of these, and I'm just speaking about makeup, and right now I'm not talking about anybody. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or anything like that. I'm just speaking in general. And I think that, sometimes these fifth grade girls are having a hard time just dealing with life in general, just because, like I said, their perception of what's real that's not what those superstars look like, or those people with those filters look like all the time. There's a filter put on there, or there's makeup just put on to display a certain image on social media. So that's where I'm going to go with.
I think perception of truth is altered by in global society by whoever controls the narrative. And those that did the conquering control the narrative. So now history books make up their truth. It may not be the truth, but it's how they wanted to depict it. So they could write it in or write you out and write your advancements or whatever it is out, depending on how they wanted to sway the thought. And yeah, I'll stop right there because history is a thing for me.
I do, and I like where everybody's going. I think every um, perspective wants value, and I'm agreeing. For the most part, I think sometimes there is a false representation of people. There is a false um, perception of reality, should I say? I'm gonna start off by saying that when I can create space, gray space between what's right and what's wrong. So the more gray space I create when it comes down to what's right and what's wrong by trying to convince you that, well, why did you think that was right? Who told you that was right? Why do you believe that that's right? Or why do you believe that that's wrong? Who told you that was wrong? Or whatever the case may be. So the more I can create gray, the more I can alter the perception of the truth. I can also start questioning and asking you certain questions as it pertains to certain things, like how does this look as it pertains to the truth versus what is false, and then in the space of fact versus fiction, or in the space of reality, we start questioning facts. Not that we shouldn't question facts, but we don't validate the facts that we question. So we get to make the facts up because we kind of saturate it with this thing. And I'm gonna go there already out the gate, because I want us to kind of really get after something here. I will sugarcoat facts and say, well, this is how I feel, and you can't tell me how I feel. Therefore, if my feelings, based upon what everybody is saying in society, are valid, and you can't tell me my feelings are valid, therefore, I can remove fact, replace it with feelings, and now what you have is that gray space in between fact and what isn't fact. That's how I'm going to start it off. Gentlemen, any thoughts, any questions on anything that anybody else said before we get pressing?
I I said that earlier. It's like the truth is based on either science or nature, and people are fighting their nature, so emotions have to be involved. You understand what I'm saying? Like, here's the one thing that I've always learned about nature and science: it's fair. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what race you are. It doesn't care how tall you are, how much money you make, what skin color you are. It's fair. It just is. And I think and I think that's why you're starting to see so much. I think this is why you're starting to see the loud minority kind of implode, because the loud minority has the microphone now, and they're the way that they're representing us is just ridiculous. But you're starting to see nature take over, and their whole ideas start to implode, and now they eating each other. You understand what I'm saying? It science and nature, those are two things that are always fair.
Nature
And
always wins in the end
Nature
too.
always wins.
Like we could like everybody could fall off the earth right now, but eventually the trees and all of this stuff is going to fall down. All the wood in our house, everything's going to be gone in 1,000 years, and it's going to be trees that's going to upgrow and weeds and everything else. Nature always wins.
Yeah, and I think where the problem comes in, I don't think it's always necessarily everyone disagrees with nature or science. It's that we believe that our perception of it is what makes it the truth. Like this, because you see, and I listen. I'm not on here really to argue and fight, so just don't jump at me after this. Just gonna
No,
say it.
I agree with
Come
you.
to me with love. But it's when you say stuff like, "Hey, because there's a shadow from the sun, that means there's gravity, or that means the earth is round." And that means, well, 1,000 years ago, they believed the same science proved that the earth was flat. So both the same one scientific truth that there's a shadow from the sun, which people use to tell time, leads to two different perceptions of that truth. But when we say that my perception is the guaranteed truth, what it does, it leaves out room for further discovery, for further uh, studies. And so we sit there and we believe that this perception is what makes this the truth. And no, the fact that there's a shadow from the sun that allows you to tell you the time of the day is the truth. What you perceive from that is your own responsibilities, not my responsibility to take that in and own that.
I like it. I like it. I agree. I like what I think Lisa said up there as well. She said the perception of the truth has been altered because people think their experience is the truth. And so I would say it like this, and it kind of goes back to what Gaddy just said. A lot of times we believe our experiences are reality. Our experiences are not reality. It is just our perspective of reality. Again, like I did last week, right? You only get to see reality through your lens. Your lens is tainted by your experiences, your understanding, your pains, your discomfort, your upbringing, all of those things, right? But again, that's from my point of view. Brother Gaddy can see it from his experiences, his reality, his upbringings, all that stuff. Chris can see it, vice versa, right? So all those things, their perspective may not necessarily look like mine. Chris's perspective may not look like mine. Therefore, they have a different story about the truth. If we can get to the point to where we can humble ourselves and listen to somebody else's perspective, then we'll realize that all three on this side, I'm sorry, all three of our perspectives get us closer to the truth. And that gets after what young brother Barrow was just talking about. Christian said that there's three sides, right? You got this person, that person, and then you have the absolute truth. And so the issue is that the absolute truth, no one has 360-degree observation of the absolute truth. And there lies the problem. Because when we walk around thinking that our experiences are reality by itself, then we run into that issue because we will only do life according to the lessons that we learn or fail to learn by our experiences. So, continuing to build this plane while we're in flight, I want to move on to the next question because I think we're going someplace here. So, what impact does the erosion of truth in institutions, school, church, whatever, have on our collective search for what we believe to be truth?
Don't nobody want to go there to seek it. All listen, man. The universities are not really getting the enrollments that they used to get because most of the people understand that they could spend a tenth or a fifth of what they would spend on a degree on a certificate and go make some money, or they could sit on YouTube and make some money. People ain't that. I've heard men say that they don't want to go to church anymore. I was matter of fact, I was just riding with somebody that I went to church with, and he said, I don't want to go back there. It's a bunch of uppity people looking down through their nose at us like they ain't never did nothing wrong. I could never be myself. Don't nobody want to go there and hear that. Like for real. So yeah, that's the major impact in itself. The institutions are eroding because they're not really teaching people. They're not really, I don't know about you, about the church because I haven't been to that same church in years because, like he said, I couldn't be myself. And when I needed them, they really wasn't there. But when I was up, they all of a sudden knew my name and my phone number. But I can speak to the academic side of it. Most men and a lot of women out here, they're not really going to college like that. They got a skill and they are using that skill to make some money. They ain't trying to go on all that debt just for them to teach the same stuff. Like, no. So yeah, don't nobody want to go there to seek the truth. So that could be a major impact in it.
I'm a piggyback off something Roland said earlier when he was talking about who controls the narrative. So when we look at television, I remember during the pandemic and the past elections and stuff like that. I would I started watching different news channels, right? I was just trying to get my news on. I was trying to see what's going on the news, right? So I watched there would be a story, a headline story, and I would be on X, channel X, right? On in the media. I'm watching the news and they talking about yada yada yada. They have their narrative that they're pushing, right? And you hear certain things. And then I will switch over to another network and it'd be the same exact thing. However, their spin on it is totally different. So I'm just like, how are these two people talking about the same thing, but they got two different narratives and two different points? So, and they both sound accurate. They both sound legit. So I'm just like, they both can't be right, or maybe one of them right and one of them wrong. But I say that what that has caused me to do is it kind of, I think overall as a collective search for the truth, I think it affects with the credibility of those networks and stuff like that. Because I'm just like, you saying this person saying this, so who am I supposed to trust? I remember back in the day we had like three channels. We had ABC, CBS, and NBC or whatever. And that was it. Now you go on, they can have a story on whatever happened whatever's going on in Killeen, right? And Roland was right there and he filmed it and he got everything that went on and happened. And then you go to CNN and it made headline news and they got their spin on it. And then you go over to Fox and they got their spin on it. But then Roland has the videos like, look, this is really what happened. You know what I mean? So nowadays, the credibility, I think, with some of the networks and stuff like that has caused people to, you know, um, kind of discredit. I guess, to sum this all up, to make sure I kind of get back to what this question is, I think the impact is with this question is the credibility at the end of the day. It affects the credibility because now as a person who don't own the networks and I can't push out the narrative, and I don't trust those, so now I got to go and do my own research on YouTube or whatever other different platforms to go and try to find the truth because I don't necessarily trust those anymore.
So to be clear, mainstream media is an institution too. Is that
It is to
what we're
me.
saying?
It is to me. But if I'm way
Okay.
off, then
If
No,
you
people
pay
let me know.
if you pay
no.
attention, every media outlet that used to be on TV is now on social media.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like that's what I was saying earlier. People don't want to go there. People ain't sitting watching the news. They go on to
They
YouTube to
doing
find out what side
trash
the
on
story is.
social media too.
Right, that's my
They
point.
get like 2 and 300,000. You go to somebody else like Chris, they go to your platform and you get 1.5 million off the same freaking topic. People are not, they don't trust them places anymore. It's just my opinion. I know I don't.
That's it. That you're right. They don't. Just like they don't
Yeah.
trust the church, just like they don't trust colleges, just like they don't trust working for somebody all their life because they pension ain't gonna be there because the government's gonna try to take that like they trying to do Social Security. You understand what I'm saying? Like people just don't want to go to these places, so they're seeking it out on their own.
But why?
I think these places erode or they change or they start giving actual facts and not just like you were timid about saying like Fox News, CNBC, and all these other places, but you know when you went to CNN or CNBC, you knew it was on the left, and you go to Fox and it's on the right. So they were contrasts, and you did a contrast and comparison to see what's the difference in these topics when they're the same, but you're coming from different perspectives, total different perspectives on each. And I think that when the erosion comes when organizations don't want to change. So that's why you have these same organizations on social media platforms where the reach is greater now than it was back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, where everybody on the computer, everybody got a cell phone. That's why if someone famous dies, most of us don't believe it till we see it come through what's that show? It's a TV show,
TMZ.
TMZ, because TMZ know once they take their last breath. I don't know how they know, but they just are there, spitting the facts. Oh, this is what happened when such and such died. Like, did you help? Did you pull the plug? You know, things of that sort. So I think the erosion comes because there's no change. There's no new thought. They don't want that, and the new thought, they don't want it to come about because with new thought comes younger experience and younger hands adding to the pot, and old money don't like new money trying to control. That's why they had to put Zuckerberg in his place. That's why they trying to put TikTok in their place. They like, yeah, y'all got money now, we get long old money and we control stuff, and if you want to come over here and do it, Zuckerberg, you're gonna be talking in front of Congress about somebody talking on Facebook about some stuff that you have no knowledge of, but you're answering for it because your name is on it. And so when they can't control your money, they can't control you, they'll find a way to do it. And like I said, it's all about control.
I think we live in a sense, for the sake of a conversation of searching truth and uh, the perception of truth, and in this whole conversation, we have two different dimensions, right? You have one to where I see your face, Chris. uh, you have one to where people are completely running away from anything that takes them outside of their own self pleasure, right? I.e., you know, institutions, churches, or whatever, whether they're giving good, right, or wrong. And then you have those who are actually allowing themselves to study something outside of what was given by the institutions. Uh, Both are because of the erosion of the institutions, because we are in a generation, and I don't think it's just the information availability. I just think that it's time, but to where people are noticing that something is up. You know, the jig is up. We it's starting to seem like the same people that run the banks are making policies, because these policies are bailing out banks left and right, and those same people are the policy makers for what gets pushed out in the education system, and these somehow are the same people that are funding our politicians, and these are the same people that are inside of our churches during election time, right? It's why they all hand in hand, you know. So people are starting to wake up, at least to the idea that something is not right from the hands of those who we have depended on all our lives and all our grandmama's lives to tell us what the truth is. But but what it has caused us to have those two different avenues, to where we have gone completely left, and to where some people are starting to search for the thing that is actually true, right? um there are some people who left the church and went crazy over here, but some people left the church and over here trying to find what's the truth of the word, because something, we've been lied to about something for too long. It's not adding up, you know. And so, and I think that and I just say that it's time for an era like this, You know, we've already had laws and times changed. Now the next change has to come about to where we're calling good evil and evil good, and that's we see that erosion of truth going on the right, where we just completely flipping everything that has made the world run just of natural law. And some people who are saying, well, there has to be a truth that is greater than this because this is not working, because it does not line up. You give me this scripture and I read one thing, and then you tell me that that one thing don't mean what it actually said. It means something different. And so now where do I go? I can't go to the preacher because he keep telling me that this saying this, and I'm clearly seeing it don't. And instead of making it line up in the scripture, you tell me you dismiss it. So I can't go to the preacher. But if I go to grandma gonna tell me the preacher's always right. And then if I go, you know what I'm saying? So it has caused everybody now is on a self journey. A- and that's why I think we ended up coming due to the erosion of these institutions. So now you see those two different windows playing out. That's all leading to things coming together in this time.
Yeah, I got you. I like all perspectives. Um, I think there's a number of things to be understood here. And I think Miss Verlene McCoy is spot on. And it kind of sums up what everybody else said, right? Um, it's all about control and power. Okay. When we start looking at different institutions, whether it's the church, whether it's college institutions, whether it's the institutions that are found their way on social media, whether it's this particular group, whether it's men, whether it's women, whether it's LGBTQIA, whether it doesn't matter. Like the segregative groups can go on and on and on and on and on, right? The over 40s club, the gray beard club, whatever that looks like. It doesn't really matter. It kind of gets after this version of control and power. Why? Because ultimately, as long as I can control the narrative, Roland, I think you said this, or somebody said it earlier. As long as I can control the narrative and make you believe a certain thing, then you believe that I have power. You believe that I have control. Then you will give it to me willingly without a fight. And I think what you found is that it has been done through scaring, right? You have scare tactics that happen. So, you can inject a whole bunch of information that makes you fearful. And then you'll go and run and get this, and you'll run and get that because I got to be prepared for the next thing. We got World War 12 coming up, right? So I got all these things happening. And so I need to be prepared. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I'm not saying that being prepared is a bad thing, but are you being prepared because that's what you know to do? Or are you preparing because somebody injected some information into your psyche that moved you to action? And if that piece there is true, that is the very definition of control. And a lot of times, what we don't realize is that we can be bombarded with information. So the question becomes, what is it that you're listening to? Are you intentional about your gates? Are you controlling your gates, your ear gates, your eye gates, and things of that nature? Or are you just open to every wind of doctrine and you're just going with the wind? Because at the end of the day, that's the thing that happened. That's the thing that motivates me. That's the thing that moves me. And because of that, that is the only thing I believe in. So every new information, I'm moving over here. Every new information, I'm moving over here. And that is dangerous. And so ultimately, the impact is that we don't necessarily believe in truth, right? What we believe is what the masses do. And when the masses move, we move. We become a part of the sheeple. And when sheep decide that they want to congregate over here, then I got to go over here as well because that's what everybody else do. And that becomes dangerous in and within itself. So thank you all for saying that and giving your perspectives. Um, Listen, wherever you are, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it doesn't matter. Hit the like button. I want everybody to hit the like button right now because, again, as you can hear, we're trying to peel back this information and make sure that everybody is not only being valued, being heard, right? But also those people in the chats. I want to make sure that I'm valuing you as well. Um, and I think my brother Adrian comes up in here and he's dropping nuggets as he so always do. Brother Adrian says the thing about the truth is that it always wants to be found. Absolutely. The truth is available. The question is, are you going to hunt the truth, or you just expect the truth to come knock at your door? I love it. I love it. Um, I think that's my brother Steve. Uh, over there. Yep, that's him, Stephen Kyle. Good to see you, brother. He said, "We in the physical, we live in fear. The physical is the lack of fear is opposite of peace and love. We is the majority. We have the choice over the control to live for God, for love. I believe we, us in this room, is enough has enough faith that we can spend that we can spread to make the good choice. Absolutely, I love it. I love it. I love it." Always good to see you, brother. Listen, it's always good to see everybody on this platform. Now, you guys know how I am. Words mean things, right? So I want to introduce a particular word to you guys, and that word is ad hominem fallacy. Anybody on this panel ever heard of that? Okay, Roland, would you mind if you don't mind, sir? You froze. Oh, never mind. There you go.
I'm trying to think. Hmm.
No, no, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I thought you knew what it was. Um,
Yeah, because it's it's uh it's when some like you have two arguments and someone it's almost like the banana in the tailpipe thing, right? Where someone will have you instead of me spitting facts, saying something factual about a person's argument or whatever, I will make the argument about something totally not even what we're talking about, just to throw something out there.
very, very
About
close.
them?
Say again.
Is it when you make an argument about them but avoiding the topic?
I
Okay,
attacked him
Nah,
and
you
yeah,
attacking the person instead of
there you
attacking the
go.
right,
argument.
There you
yeah,
go. There you
Okay.
go. That's
Yeah.
an ad hominem fallacy. So it's like, let's just say me and Roland is in a debate and he say a thing, and the thing that he says, I don't even address it. I start talking about him. And I do it through the version of I think Kevin Samuels just said this all the time. Naming, what is it? Blaming,
Shame,
shaming,
insults,
and
guilt,
naming.
and the need to be right.
Well, I think it was
That was
naming,
a different one, Chris.
it was blaming, shaming, and name calling, right? So what the person who exists in homonym fallacy, they will not respond to their perspective. They'll respond to that person and call that person a name, kind of like what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about gaslighting, and I think Uncle Junior was the one who stated this. Like if a person labels a person as a thing, you're a gaslighter, or you're gaslighting me, or whatever the case may be, then what ends up happening is that the conversation at that point is totally derailed because they don't necessarily want to entertain the facts. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's 100% across the board. There is absolutely some people who actually intentionally try to distort the truth for the sake of trying to make the other partner feel crazy. Going back to Roland's Shaggy example from last week. However, we have to be careful when a person intentionally avoids what you're saying and go around it and kind of says something totally different that's directed at your person, right? You men always do that. You women always do that. You know what I'm saying? You people from the South, you always do that, or something of that nature. Or, can't stand you guys over 50 years, over 50, because this is what you always do, right? So generalizations, to me, I'm just making that up, man. Generalizations is a thing that we have to be careful about. Um, but because I have a philosophy that generalizations are always wrong. But when we start talking about ad hominem fallacies, we're attacking the person, not necessarily what the person is saying. And that in turn can definitely be a way to avoid the truth because they do not want to address the facts. I think Adrian kind of put the entire definition up there for us. He says it's an attempt to discredit someone's argument by personally attacking that person. Absolutely. That's exactly what an ad hominem fallacy. And here's the deal. I'm not sharing this for you guys to go out and say, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, you're ad hominem fallacy me." No, that's not what I'm saying. The goal is for us to search ourselves to make sure that we don't do it to someone else. Like if somebody gives you information, respond to what they're actually saying. Don't go around the information and talk about the person. So thank you, Adrian, for and get the one he says up on that as well. If a person attacks you and not your argument, then they have nothing else of value to add to the conversation. That can and cannot be true. I don't want to go that far, but I definitely appreciate where you're going with it. A lot of times, what you'll find is that it is an ingrained behavior because they don't want to stay in the conversation long enough. It's uncomfortable for them. They're not necessarily, I don't want to use the term skilled, but yes, that's the best way to say it. They're not necessarily skilled at staying in the conversation so that we can, number one, address the conversation, address what the person says, and then after I address what they say, then come back. Right? Effective communication means that I need to acknowledge what you're saying. Then, after acknowledging what you're saying, then I respond based upon what I understand that you're saying. And a lot of times we struggle with that. So, any other points that you guys want to add to ad hominem fallacy?
I just want to say, as you breaking this down, and as I'm reading the comments and reading the definition here, I realize that that is the conversational skills of our so on quote unquote uh
Politician.
leaders in our community. Yeah. Well, and politicians, but think about it, in our community, who's our biggest voices? Our comedians. Whenever you hit our comedians with a real question about something that is going on or something they're addressing, right? Because, sometimes comedians will make jokes to attack a certain point or position. But when you address them in an interview, they turn around and you a big headed, snot nosed, ugly. Your mama so big, she sit on the run. You get what I'm saying? Like they jump off to the jokes. Yeah, I had to go to the jokes we grew up on, but they jump off on the jokes and roasting. But these are our community leaders. These are our biggest voices in our community, and just thinking about it, that terminology is actually the way that we speak and have conversations that we don't like to have.
I
That's the
would
new
say
way.
I wouldn't say they are our biggest community leaders because most of them are in our communities. I think they're the most visible and they get the most shine because of their platforms. But I wouldn't give them that. I would say even when you have people who have some type of sense and they make valid points, they will then degrade them and say, you're just a comedian. Or they'll speak to their intellect to downgrade whatever they have to say, such as politicians. We know, we heard, and we're going to hear it again in November and before November, whenever they're going to be talking about, oh, well, he got dementia, he old, and the man is a little younger and just as old. They're going to say, oh, he's racist, and they're gonna throw these things out there to discredit them when we're supposed to be talking about these policies and so forth and so on. But they will get off policy when they don't agree to degrade the person's character and things of that nature instead of staying on topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's important for us to understand this tactic because what we're talking about today is we're getting after the truth, right? So, our quest for meaning in a post truth era. Well, for people who are skilled, who live in ad hominem fallacy, they don't really care about the truth. They will do a thing and or say a thing so that they can kind of distort the perspective from the facts, right? And then get everybody to focus on the thing that they're saying because we live in a world and that world says that we like drama. And so, as much drama that I can create, then that's the thing that people are going to resonate with. And so that kind of takes us into the next question, which is all about the social media algorithm. In what ways do social media algorithms shape our understanding of reality and truth?
I think unless you find a way to change your social media algorithm, is going to be constantly feeding you things that you agree with. And then you start to think that those things that you agree with are absolutely true. And I say this all the time, only a Sith deals in absolutes. I don't do those. There's no such thing as an absolute. Even though we used to say on Uncle Junior Network, all things are true. I don't believe that I don't believe that there's an absolute like that. So Yeah, I would say it would start there. Like unless you are seeking a different level of understanding, or you want to actually, or you've reached a point in your life where your beliefs are not aligning with what's going on outside in the real world, that's when you go searching for something else. And to be real, man, I think, and this might be a part of this question, but it isn't. But I think social media is full of people that haven't gotten punched in the face enough.
I got
Like
punched in the
serious.
face enough.
But you don't post nonsense. I've never seen any nonsense on your page. That's what I'm saying, man. There's too many people on social media. Mike Tyson used to say this, man. Social media has made people too comfortable to say whatever they want to say and do whatever they want to do and not get rocked in their chin strap for it. Seriously. That's why I hate social media. That's why I'm praying to God that the Twitter ban goes through, and I hope that they filter it through Facebook, and I hope they filter it through Instagram, and I hope they do something with Elon Musk. I truly do. I can't. I haven't been on social media since September of last year, so I think the real world is kind of dope. I like the real world. And the real world out here is kind of conflicting with a lot of the stuff that I used to absorb on social media, because most of it is nonsense. It's the loud minority with their keys talking or with a phone in front of their face instead. You know what? I'm not
These
gonna
kids
be
can't
angry
even
this
write
year.
cursive. What they gonna do in the real world?
You know,
They-
and you know what? Nope. I'm not gonna be. And nope. I'm not. No, absolutely
Get off
not. I'm
my
turning my
grass.
mic off.
That's all I hear. Get off my grass. That's what I hear. But I think social media, the algorithms. This morning when I woke up, first thing I saw on social media was oh, Kendrick Lamar. He done said something about J. Cole and who was it? Drake or somebody. And then I'm listening to it. I'm like, I ain't hear him say no names. But the more you hear a thing, the more you see a thing, the more that thing becomes true to you when you have nothing to counter it. You have nothing to go against it. And that's what social media does. It keeps feeding you, as Chris was saying, keeps feeding you that same thing. So you like, yeah, you agree with it. Just like it's some trash music out there that you heard all the song, all the time, and constantly hear it. Now you like, man, what is this? And you think, oh dang, that's the hottest rapper alive because she talking about hands on your knees and it's trash. But you listen to it and you hear it. Now you think, oh, that's real music. Some people, because that's the only thing they're hearing. And when your algorithm constantly feeds you the same thing, you have the same thought. That's why I just sometimes you got to back off and come on it and go to specific things and do some research.
Um, here's my first. I'm going to start with what I personally think the algorithm does. Right. I think that the algorithm feeds you things that you want to see. I think the algorithm, what they do is they look at how long I'm on a certain picture or how long I'm watching a video, and then they say, "Oops, he want to, gotcha. He want to watch more of that." Right? So they keep sending me more of the same things like that, and other people who may follow same content like that. So I am a firm believer that what's in your algorithm, you are 100% responsible for. If you don't stay on certain things, you won't get fed them. Like I don't see unicorns and fairies on my feed. But there are some people who their whole feed is about unicorns and fairies. I don't watch them. If there was one to pop up, I'd scroll and they'd be like, well, he don't like that. He's not going to send me that anymore. So that's first of all what I think my thoughts on the algorithm and how, you know what I mean, whatever you seeing is what you want to see. Now, in what ways does social media algorithms shape our understanding of reality and truth? I think that sometimes when you are being fed something over and over and over, it can change or it can distort your truth. You know, at some point, you know, you may have been raised a certain way and then now you may, let's say you've been raised, I'm gonna give you a good one. I'm gonna go there because I got on a red shirt. All right, during the pandemic, right? Social medias. All right. So during the pandemic, like I said, I started looking at different sides of the coin. And a lot of people did. But if you look at the politics and you look at the amount of people who changed their thoughts and their beliefs about politics, a lot of people opened their eyes and not necessarily changed, but they were at least open to having a conversation a little bit more about who to vote for, right? So, and I say that with a lot of different things. I think that, if you look at certain people who have, have done certain things, maybe committed mass murders and stuff like this, and they've went back and through and they've looked at their social media, they was watching a whole bunch of that same stuff. You know what I mean? So when you look at when you have a certain belief on one thing, and then you hear something else, and then you see and hear more and more and more of that, I think it's very easy sometimes to, even without knowing, start um your truth and reality start becoming a little blurred sometimes. You know what I mean? But I think that's where, like what Roland said, you have to, sometimes either pull back, or, get off social media, or go and do your own research from a different place. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when you go to a different place, sometimes even the original place, you know what I mean? Because like I said, we have a story on CNN, you have the same story on Fox, where if you go to the source, Roland has the phone, he recorded the thing, you can go to Roland, you can go right to the source and find out the accurate information. So that's my 2 cents.
I like it.
Am I last on this one?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna be the youngest on the panel and do the young thing. I'm not gonna attack social media by itself. It just centralized how we were fed narrow-minded thinking in the real world, when we used to go outside and scrape our knees and jack and mess up our elbows and play tackle football on the concrete, But oh yeah, in the South, y'all had grass. We couldn't play on the
I'm
grass.
just trying to understand where you're going,
Uh,
sir. Keep going.
but but growing up, I had a narrow way of thinking, right? It was based upon, of course, my experience, right, and what was fed to me, right, by our social institutions, the schools and the preachers, and some of the teachers were also the preachers, right? Um, so you're fed the same thought process over and over again, even in the real world, because your mama said the same thing that the pastor said, because you only went to the church with your mama, because of mama. So you heard the same information regurgitated on every hand. Same way as living on social media and your algorithms feeding you the same information over and over again, and keeping you in a narrow space of thinking. The only thing that allowed me to see the world a little bit different was getting out of that environment and getting into a new environment, right? I.e., joining the military and meeting people from different walks of life. I swear, for I don't know for who, whatever, but I thought everybody in the South were farmers and walked around with straw hats and hay and strain the wheat or whatever it is in your mouth, with with high socks on with flip flops and cowboy boots. Sometimes I don't know, but
Thin
this
ice,
was my image.
thin ice, sir. Thin ice.
Oh, my bad. I had two more in the chamber. I'm gonna leave it alone. Nah. But this was my thought process. Like literally, I got into an argument in reception because everybody, because you from New York or whatever, you get picked on a lot by the drill sergeants because they mostly from the South, and so that made my battle buddies think that I was the easy target. And I just remember one time hitting them with hitting them with one of them lifelines, like, hey, you mother farmers gonna keep ain't gonna keep talking about me. And because that was my mindset. You from the South, so of course you shoot better. All you do is shoot coon and farm. So my perception changed coming to the South and seeing that there were cities Are you telling me how many more I got?
No, social media, man. Let's go.
Oh no, but but the concept
This is
is
amazing.
it is the concept is I don't think social media is doing anything different. It's just it keeps it only difference is that it keeps us in a dopamine rush. You got to keep going to the next one and next one, and no one ever takes the time to stop and change their algorithm by going looking at something different, going viewing something different when you have the ability to. But I think it's the same game, it's just a different platform, if you ask me.
I got you. Adrian, you are all in my head, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Um, so it's two ways I look at it. Okay. Um, I think it was Uncle Junior said that pretty much people, you can go ahead and bring it up. Pretty much people go to social media and they pretty much shape the algorithm based upon what they watch. And I do this from time to time intentionally. Like last night, I promise you, I only wanted to see airplanes from the Air Force. And so I started looking for A-10 Warthogs. And then next thing you know, A-10 started showing up on my page. Then I went from an A-10 to the F-22, and I wasn't looking for it at this point. It just kept showing up. So the A-10, like airstrikes, and then the F-22, and then different types of air platforms. And going back to that point, what Adrian is saying is that whatever a person has in their head, they literally shape their algorithm to give them more of that stuff. It's confirming the same thing that they're actually thinking. They're not looking for extra information. They're not looking for outside information. They're not looking for information that combats what they're saying. They're only looking for information that supports their narrative. So that in turn supports their own bias. On the other side of it, I also believe that there are people on social media who just inject information, right? So the creators, right? Some creators inject information because they know that that's what some people are looking for, and they're not trying to give you the truth. They're trying to give you what you want, and that becomes part of the issue as well. So, from the standpoint of shaping the algorithm to give me what I want, I only look for the things that confirm what I'm thinking. From the standpoint of creativity, you have creators who are out there who are giving people exactly the same thing for what they want, simply because they don't care whether it's the truth or not. They care about the clicks, they care about the likes, they care about the numbers, because in most cases, these social media platforms are paying them. So it's not about me giving you the truth. It's about me giving you your version of the truth, because that's the thing that's going to make you click on it. So thank you, Adrian, for saying that, brother, because I'm agreeing with you. And I think, and I want to give it to the other panel members, right? Because that's my perspective of what you're saying. I'm agreeing. I do 100% believe that a lot of people go to social media just to confirm their own thoughts.
So I'm gonna say I agree, but I'm also gonna um, speak to the other side of that, to the people who actually do go and actually try to find information. I do think that there are also a lot of people who are actually trying to find the truth. I know, like for me, I'm the older generation. I'm 48 now. You know, I wasn't raised on social media. You know, so like for me, it's a great tool to go and find different perspectives, or to really find the truth, or at least my perception of the truth. You know, I'm not really looking to find something that lines up with what I believe. I'm actually looking to find stuff that that's that contradicts it, so I can really try to find the truth about something. So for me, you know, I'm on everything, and I have fun on social media. um However, you know, I do think that there are a lot, also a lot of people that are really trying to really find out the truth on the social media. But I do think that he is definitely spot on. There are a lot of people that's looking for confirmation bias.
I think yes and no. Um, I think anytime you get on the internet, you're looking for specific information, right? For the most part, when I'm looking up something, I specifically want to either confirm or negate a specific thought or a specific. Yes, I just stick with thought, you know, instead of information that I received on one place. I'm just trying to confirm if I read something somewhere. or saw something somewhere or heard something somewhere, I'm going, my first reaction, because we don't live with whole sets of encyclopedias no more. So we go to Google. Yeah. And that, so I say it's a mixture of both. Some people really are is really looking for specific understanding about a specific topic, and sometimes the algorithms will see that search, and because I watched 3 videos about this thing, trying to get different perspectives, all I'm getting is videos about this thing, or like everybody already pointed out, there is some confirmation bias in there where it's like, all right, I want to prove this point. And so I think, like Coach talked about earlier, when people go look up these arguments between, this male female stuff, and you getting the same information from 10 to 100 different podcasts, because that's what you keep searching. You're looking for validation of what you already think or believe. So I think it's both.
Short answer, yes. They are looking for confirmation bias. Most people are not like Unc. Most people are not like, saying, most people don't have that frame of thought to actually go look for things that challenge their perspective, so maybe they can actually learn something. Most people go to pages that challenge their perspective to fight. That's really what it's turned into. This is why I don't this is why I'm not I don't do so I This is why I don't do social media, even though 6 months of hell is over. I still haven't been on any type of social media platform except YouTube. The only thing I watch on YouTube is stuff I learn from. Like the other nonsense I don't see. So to Unk's point, yeah, you are in complete control of your algorithm and what shows up in your feed. But most people, they go to social media to find a group of people that agree with what they do or how they feel or what they think, so that way they can feel good about themselves. But hey, that's just me.
Tribalism.
And you know what? Nope. Nope. Mm-mm. Nope. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I think I don't know. I think we're all adult enough to disseminate information. So if it's something that I don't agree with, I want to know why I don't agree with it. I don't want to just say I don't agree with it because they did this or they said it a certain way. I want to be able to look at the information that they're putting out, go look up the information that they're putting out, and see what it is that I disagree with. Because I found that sometimes my disagreements came from not understanding. And I think when you actually look into a thing instead of look at how a person is saying a thing, then you have more understanding of said thing versus me saying, well, I think like this and I think like that, and they think over here, so I don't want to hear nothing that they're saying. I like on my algorithm may be all over the place because I don't run away from things unless it's I don't want to see somebody shaking their tail online. I don't. So I will stray away from that. I don't do the cursing and all that other stuff. But when we're talking about thought and how that's framed, I want to see how people think. I want to understand the mindset and how did you even come up with that, and see if there's a logical reason or if it's just you're being sheep, you're being led versus you actually thinking like that.
Absolutely, absolutely, I agree. And I got Adrian's second question. I think Nick D kind of gave the answer. It looks like you confirmed that answer, so I'm agreeing with that as well. And again, I will add to it, like I said, surround yourself with the right people who are not afraid to be honest with you and challenge your perspective and share information with you that goes against the grain, information with you that goes against what you actually think. Because a lot of times, what we do, we always like to be around people who only agree with our perspective, and like to call them yes men. I like the fact that he says that because again, when we only surround ourselves, like it kind of goes against that narrative, because it's an old saying: go where you're appreciated, not tolerated. No, stop listening to that foolishness. Right? You need to. It's not about. And I know what they mean when they say that. It's like go where you are, kind of like celebrated, idea. They don't necessarily mean
Go where you're
appreciate.
celebrated, not where
Know
you're
when you're celebrating.
tolerated.
Thank you. That's what it was. I messed it up. I apologize. Stop saying that. That is one of the worst things that you can tell anybody who has a moldable, impressionable mind, right? Because if you only seek to be around people who celebrate you, then those people will always agree with you simply because they don't want to disappoint you. So what you need to do is surround yourself with people who not just appreciate you, but will challenge the way that you think so that you can grow outside of your perspective. So, Adrian, great question. I do want to get one other question in, another question in here because we are coming close on time. And listen, we greatly appreciate all of you and everything that you are putting in the chats. So, moving on to the next question here, which is all about navigating the landscape of relationship in a post-truth era. I probably should have started with this the way you guys like to go, right? All right. So, how has the post-truth era changed the way we trust and communicate within our personal relationships?
Yeah, you should have started with this one.
Yeah,
No, you shouldn't have. We probably still be on it. Um,
Trust me, I know.
like, are you trying to bring the upset me out? Is this what this is?
I'm
Hey,
trying
the
to make
crazy,
sure. Hold on. I'm trying to make sure that you stay consistent with your goal that you told us at the first of the year.
but the crazy thing is, you brought this question up talking about something we coming short on time.
Exactly. It was intentional. It was intentional.
Man, look, I'm gonna be honest. It kind of, I don't think people communicate. I think people talk. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think people communicate. People, and to pick and to actually bridge this to the last question that we had up, a lot of people think that just because we challenge them on what they think or what they believe, that we're attacking them as a person. Like, it's so ingrained in who they are that they can't tell the difference. And it's not that. You understand what I'm saying? It's not that. We're just trying to figure things out, and we're asking questions because 9 times out of 10 we don't understand, and we're trying to figure it out. It ain't that you it ain't it, we're not trying to make you. The post-truth era has turned us into a bunch of talkers and not a bunch of communicators who are actually willing to sit down with each other and learn something instead of trying to be right in this unhealthy competition that we have with each other. Is goofy.
So
The
you mean I
being
can?
right ain't all it's cracked up to be, man.
So you mean I can learn something in a relationship?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I just want to,
I think it
absolutely.
it's devalued the relationships because of exactly what Chris said, and because now we can walk around with masks on because I can cherry pick information that I know won't upset the relationship, and I'll never give my true thoughts because I know that's going to disturb the peace. You don't want to hear it, or I don't want the backlash from it. So I'll merely say what I can say in this circle, but when I'm in other circles, I can be myself. When I'm over here, I can be this person because I'm wearing masks everywhere I go. So we walk around talking about no new friends, no fake friends, but we new people everywhere we go because we jumping from conversation to conversation, being whoever it is that they expect in that situation.
But bro, as men, ain't that what we were taught? At least in our romantic relationships, right? Happy wife, happy life. So we don't we disguise the truth, we hide the truth, we give lies just so we can keep peace in the home.
Yep.
You know, I'm gonna bring this back to what I said earlier. I really wish whoever made that phrase up, I really wish I knew who they were, because I really want to punch them square in their face. I promise you.
just so that everybody know, we do not promote violence.
We don't, but seriously, man.
Man. Um ooh.
But
So
you're right
I'm
though. You are right. We were taught to suppress. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
now you good, you good. Um I'm with I'm with y'all on this one. I think we have become too selfish to communicate. I don't believe that we were taught that relationships were about the relationship, which means both of us are working for each other in this relationship, right?
To relate.
So to relate with one to with and for one another, right? So the problem comes in is if I truly communicate, then there's a chance that I won't be happy with the outcome. Then there's a chance that I'm the one that has to change. There's a chance that I'm not correct. And so, because I was taught to be selfish in relationships, I don't believe in communication, because where there's no communication, there can also not be any accountability, because stuff is never put on on the table. So now I can hide from accountability, do what I want to do, maneuver how I want to maneuver. And the moment you bring up the things that I'm doing that is actually affecting you in a negative way, I look at you and I say, you don't know my truth. You don't, that's not how that's how you feel. Your truth is not my reality. Right. And we do these things. It kind of sounds like that buzzword with a G. I think y'all talked about it last week. My bad. But we dance around, and I'm gonna leave that one alone, because this conversation can go long, and I'm not gonna make it long. But I think we're too selfish to truly communicate.
And I would say, just to keep mine short too, we're afraid of offending people by being honest. We're afraid of offending people by saying whatever was on our mind. That's why, to quote the great Jordan Peterson, he said, I don't care about being offensive anymore, because just to speak runs the risk of being offensive. So why not just be honest? You get mad, you get mad. I can't, if we were talking relationships, I can't tell you I love you and not tell you the truth. Those two things can't, unless it's something stupid, like something that ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying, something stupid or harmless. But if I love you, I can't if I love you, I can't lie to you. I can't.
Which brings us full circle back to the beginning, because the problem is we have distorted what truth is. We flipped it on its head. And so if I love you, you won't tell me the truth. You just let me die in my ignorance for my
You
feelings'
can't die.
sake.
You listen. You can't die in your ignorance and be with me at the same time. Pick a struggle.
Well, I'm gonna take the latter side of it. I don't think, and I'm I'm playing advocate here, and ain't got nothing to do with the devil. I think that most people don't know the truth.
I would I agree. I agree. But they don't know the truth. Be- I'm treading on thin ice. Listen,
I'm not doing
most
this
people
tonight.
don't know the truth. Most people don't know the truth because too many of us were taught how to be non-self-aware. We were taught that. Like, I keep asking how much trouble can we get in on on this episode, but
Wait, wait. Before you move any further, you said we were taught that. What were we taught again?
we were taught how not to have self-awareness,
Okay.
so there's no truth that can exist.
I'm sorry, man. I can't, man. Because we know better. We know. You know what? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Nick D just said it. You know,
I don't know about the. I think we were groomed to be a certain way. That's why we don't like when people don't speak to a certain way. So we, I think we don't know how to marry communication and emotionalism to where one doesn't take over the other. So now, when a person isn't talking calmly to nice to us, we think they're acting a certain way. So we're not listening to the words they're saying. We're merely listening to their tone. We're hearing how they're saying it and alleviating all information simply because of their emotional response, because we've become emotional beings to where all information given. That's why in church, when you go to church, they know how to get you emotional, because emotional, you give that money that's quiet, and you jump, you shout, and you had a good time, and you didn't learn anything. You learn, oh, what he talk about? I don't know, but he said he died, and then you leave and come back the same way you were last week. And so when it comes to us communicating, I think communication is us relating one to another. The scripture says, it talks about us, come, let us reason together. And that's, yeah, yeah, Yahweh was saying, let us reason together, because there's one truth, and let us come together on this. Let us have our established foundation on the truth. Then we can actually talk, we can actually communicate, because nothing else matters. But we bring in everything that matters. Well, you talking to me like this, and it doesn't matter. I'm trying to express myself, and that's a form of expression. But you can't get past my expression, because you are offended by it and aren't paying attention to the words that I'm saying. And we can both leave splintered instead of leaving connected.
Look, you kind of quiet on this one, bro. You all right? I don't want to leave you out.
Man, can I be honest?
Yeah.
Man, I forgot I was on the show. Bro, I was locked in on what everybody was saying. I'm just like, listen, I'm just like, boom, boom, boom. And it was like, it wasn't until like not too long ago that I was like, oh, I need to get me a talking point.
But I tell you
Bro,
what,
because because I was really listening and paying attention to what you guys were saying, because one of the things, like, how have the post-truth era changed the way we trust and communicate within our personal relationship? So I say that I kept thinking of the word like separation. I keep thinking about like how is things are like I guess I'm gonna go to social media again, right? So a TikTok video comes up, right? And I get it, and I show it to my wife, and she don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like, say for instance, like, oh well, wives are supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and this is what I want to tell her, but she ain't really receiving it. You know what I mean? And then I'm just like, well, I'm rock with this, and she like, well, I ain't really feeling that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that sometimes it can just cause separation or um I guess division. I think, yeah, like in relationships and personal relationships and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna keep it short and just say, separation or division, just to be and leave it like that for the sake of time.
so
But what?
and hold on, I'm gonna inject another thought real quick, um, because I'm gonna focus on the word trust. Because I think a lot of times within the scope of relationship, we put a mantle on a person that they were never supposed to be able to obtain. So what ends up happening is, because I take the term trust and wrap it around your neck, now that puts me in the driver's seat. Why? Because you cannot, I don't care what you do, you cannot appease me 100% time as it pertains to trust. And so what we do, we sling that word trust around every time we turn around in a relationship, because anything that you do that does not line up with what I would do personally, now you have violated my trust. So that's where I'm going to, do my inject right there, and I'm gonna just lean back and let the fireworks flow. Or not. Look at y'all being
I
passive.
don't know. I
You
think
ain't
when it comes
lying.
to trust, has to be something that you establish, you work at.
How
It's
do I do that?
because
How do I do that? How do I establish trust? Give me a blueprint real quick.
I'm saying, when I'm saying trust, I trust your actions. If you normally move a certain way, I don't expect, like people say, well, I don't trust nobody. I trust everybody, plain and simple. Because if I'm establishing a relationship with you, that means I'm spending time with you, I'm communicating with you, and I see the consistencies. The consistencies are the trust. It's not whether or not you do what I want, because when you do what I want, that's me just getting my way. Go ahead.
But if I observe it, is that not objective fact?
It has to be.
Right. So it's
So
not that I'm trusting what I see. There's no need to trust what I see. It's there. It's obvious. It's right there.
So
So
you
what
trust
you're
them,
so what you're saying is I trust this person to continue to do the exact same thing from henceforth to the rest of our time in this relationship until we die.
no. That's
Exactly.
saying normal situations. If you throw me a ball, I'm gonna catch it. Normal situations.
Until you
But
turn
if
90
some,
years old and you don't have that same reflex.
right, so now things change, and that's why it's a relationship, because relationships should not never ever stay the same with humans. They should
But
never be. It's just okay. Well, you just like this and you just like that, because there's growth and there's you, you may regress.
and that sir proves my point. So I
So
So
can't I right. So if relationships grow, then I can't trust you to continue to do the same thing that you've been doing. Only
but
no,
I
thing
can
I
trust.
can do, go ahead, get it.
But I think the trust is not in necessarily in the doing, right? Uh, because like you said, you might have cut the grass every week, but you blew your knee and you can't get up as often as you used to. So, you know, so maybe I can't trust you to do this. So we got to pay for someone to do it. But I can trust you to be who you are and who you have shown me to be, because there's a character that led to you mowing the grass. There's something about you that led you to perform these certain acts. And as you grow older, right, and you can't no longer do certain physical things no more, or whatever, or as you get injured or whatever, or as you grow mentally, but the essence of who you are, if you are if you have been authentic with me this whole time, I can. But the problem goes back to your first statement, though, coach. It's and I think it's on a different level though, that we put people in capacities that we never should have. The problem is I didn't get to know you before I put you in this capacity. And so now you don't fit the mold of what I need here. But that's because I didn't get to know you. So now I was like, I can't trust you to be this and I can't trust you to be that. Well, they were never meant to be that.
That's a good
And
point.
you so that's how I look at it.
That's a good point. The problem is not with my statement. The problem is with what that person did in the space of relationship. So I get what you're saying, and I'm agreeing with that. Unc and Chris, what you got on this particular topic of trust?
It's difficult for me because I'm not really trusting because of because of what I've been through. You see what I'm saying? I'm not really. So if it takes a lot for me to trust you. You understand what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
it is about what you do. It's about what you do and how you do it. And if you do something outside of that, that's going to make me question a lot. Like, if I love you and I'm in a relationship, I'm gonna ask you. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Because you doing this and this is out of the ordinary. What's popping? Like, let's talk. You understand what I'm saying? And let's have an adult conversation. Now, if you don't if you don't trust in me enough to have this adult conversation, then hit the bricks. Take the L. You understand what I'm saying? Take the L. But yeah, it takes a lot for me to trust you. It takes a lot. And I don't think it's really trust. I think it's just routine.
Mm.
Once you
What you got
once you
on?
break yeah, once you break the routine, I'm asking questions. Like,
What,
you don't do this anymore. Why don't you do this?
yeah.
Or you did this and I asked you not to. What's going on?
So I'm gonna do something I don't normally do, and I'm gonna quote or paraphrase the Bible. The Bible says, "Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path." Just making a decision. So for me, trust is simply making a decision. Either I'm going to trust you, or either I'm not. It's that simple for me. Now, there's always context behind it. You know, sometimes our relationship, how's our relationship been? You know, have you let me down in the past? You know, have you paid me back that $3, maybe back my lunch money, you know, stuff like that. But I think on the surface level, trust is just about a decision. And
Mm.
that's my opinion.
So here's what, and I'm agreeing with you, Adrian. I love this conversation as well. Um, and so many other, man, you guys are on the chats. I'm reading your stuff, and I agree. But it's just that easy to create confusion in the midst of a conversation about something that you never was taught about. Because I'm agreeing with, I think it's Lisa, and what Uncle Junior said, what he quoted from the Bible, which means that I never have to put you at the mercy of my observation of your deeds when it comes down to this thing called trust. I think Gaddy mentioned character. Character is the thing that I am looking for because your character should come from a particular place. Hopefully, the same place that mine's come from. And we have not achieved perfection in that, right? We are growing in that. So when I'm looking at your deeds and I'm judging your deeds and I'm holding you hostage to the perception of my belief of what I'm observing in your deeds, and I do not believe that you have the ability to grow. Now that kind of puts me in error because now I have what I tend to call like a Pharisee's perspective of who you are. So I am going to judge your deeds based upon my understanding of what you should and should not be doing. Therefore, at that particular point, it's washed, it's trash, it's whatever the case may be. Now, if you're intentionally damaging the team, for me, all bets off. Just go, just go call the spade a spade, right? And that's not anything that you're going to quote from anything. I'm just saying that when you are intentionally damaging the team, that's totally different because you are working against the team, intentionally trying to destroy it. That's kind of like my perspective when it comes down to there. But when it comes down to this whole thing called trust, there's a lot of gray when it comes down to it. And I think we've seen that just in the midst of our conversation right here just now. Because some people say, hey, this, and some people say, hey, that. My thing is, I'm looking to see if you're trustworthy. That's totally different because if you're trustworthy, that means that we're looking at it from a different perspective now. We believe in the same thing, and to what degree? And if we see that we believe in the same thing, and to that degree, and we're moving in the same direction of life, then we can make a decision that says, hey, we can unite. Therefore, I don't hold you to the mantle of trust because that's what I'm supposed to do as it relates to the Most High, but I hold you to the understanding of trustworthiness, which means that we are both striving to be more like Him. And then that way, I can look at your deeds today, and then next year, your deeds look different. Why? Because you've grown, I've grown. So we don't do the exact same thing that we did last year. We don't do the exact same thing we did 5 years ago. Why? Because that's where the growth has to happen based upon our understanding of what we're doing. So that's just my take on this particular question. Listen, I greatly appreciate you guys and everything that you're saying in the chat. I greatly appreciate you guys giving us permission to continue to go long because I knew this question was going to go long. And if you see these brothers were waiting with bated breath to come back, I got to hold them up. Got to hold them up. Got to hold the lions at bay because I got to let you guys know. But I want to make sure I got to let you guys go. But I want you guys to know that I greatly appreciate you guys staying with us. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you guys to be real brief on your final thoughts. Real brief. Chris, we're going to start with you. Then we're going to swing around to Uncle Junior. Then we're going to go back to Gaddy. Then we're going to go to Roland. And then I'm just going to close it out for the night. So, with that being said, Chris, you have the floor as it pertains to the quest for meaning in a post truth era.
I'm going to say this and then I'll just mute my mic. My final thought is simple. It is okay to have independent thought. It is okay to seek out what you need to seek out. And it's okay to seek out things that challenge what you want to seek out so that way you can learn something. It is okay for other people to have opposing ideals. And it's okay for them to challenge what you believe. You're not always right. Get out your ego. That's my final thought.
So the topic tonight is the quest for meaning in the post-truth era. You know, usually when we hear the word quest, that means something longer than it's not short. So it's like a journey. It takes a while in order to complete the quest. So when it comes to a meaning, in a post-truth era, if you're on a journey to try to find the truth, look in different places, look at different social media, look at different newses, look at whatever it is that, and I don't mean just social media. Social media comes in different forms, but look and try to find the truth. It may not be as simple, but try different avenues, different approaches, talk to different people. Look under a rock if you need to. Go places where not everybody is sometimes. And sometimes that can lead to your own understanding, or that can lead to truth. So that's my 2 cents and my final thought for the night.
It's only one actual source of absolute truth. But even that needs to be researched, need to be read thoroughly, need to be examined. Um, because the problem is our perspectives of life sometimes get in the way of understanding uh, a source of truth, right? So we have to get to a place to where we can, as a people, can learn to reason together, as my brother Roland quoted earlier, so that we don't get distorted. But there is only one source of absolute truth. Everything in it is true, but we have to still examine that thing, study to show thyself approved.
About this topic, I think people can cherry pick information and speak loud, spreading misinformation. So it's vital to remember that facts remain the foundation of the discourse and informed decision making. Despite the challenges of promoting critical thinking in media literacy and the reliance on credible sources. So we got to make sure we can restore the importance of having facts, the importance of having true information before we just do a lot of talking, do a lot of communicating, make sure it's established on facts. And that way it'll help shape for a more informed and responsible society.
Listen, I don't have any final thoughts. That's it. Well, I just want to say that I appreciate you guys. Take me back to the floor. There we go. I just want to say we appreciate you guys. I mean, I can't stress that enough. You guys make the show, not just the guys on the panel, right? But you guys in the chat. You make what we do every Friday night. You make it fun. You make it lively. Your perspectives are valued. Your insights are valuable. I'm looking at some of the things like you guys were just being awesome. Nick D, Adrian, Michelle, Miss Verlene McCoy, Lisa. Like you guys are like, I mean, I'm looking at some of the things that you guys were putting up here, and it's just amazing. I just hate that we couldn't bring them all up as we were talking, but I want you to know that we see you. We appreciate you. You're valuable in this space. That being said, listen, tomorrow morning, 10:30, it'll be myself and Lisa. Queen is out. She had surgery. So let's make sure that we pray for our sister. That way she can get well soon. We love her. And we want to make sure that we're spreading that love. I will announce it again tomorrow morning how much we greatly appreciate her. And you're right, Nick D. Go get some grits. Don't put no sugar on it. Listen, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. I see you guys who show up tomorrow morning. If you don't show up, that's okay. We still love you anyway. Listen, have a great evening, a great rest of your weekend, and let the best version of yourself be a blessing to someone else.